What would you do if you woke up on your daughter's wedding day and found that someone had shaved your wife's head while she was sleeping beside you? That's the reality I opened my eyes to. At first, I thought I was dreaming. I reached for Rachel, ready to whisper that this was the day we had all been waiting for. The day our little girl would walk down the aisle. But when my hand brushed her scarf, I felt nothing but rough skin underneath. My breath caught. I pulled the fabric back with shaking fingers, and my world collapsed. Her golden hair, the hair she had fought for years to grow back after chemotherapy, was gone. Every strand, cut away with cold precision. "Rachel," I croaked, shaking her gently. She stirred, blinking, her smile faint and sleepy until I guided her hand to her scalp. The moment she felt it, she froze. Then came the scream, a raw, broken sound that ripped through the room. "No. Oh, God. Not again." Her sobs shook her whole body as she clutched at her head. Why would anyone do this to me? I held her, powerless against her grief, my own heart splitting in two. This was supposed to be a morning of happiness, of family coming together. Instead, it was turned into a nightmare by cruelty so sharp it felt like violence. And I knew instantly who was behind it. There was only one person bitter enough, vindictive enough, to cross this line. My ex-wife. She hadn't just attacked Rachel, she had attacked me, our family, and the very peace we had fought to rebuild. And I swore, right then, that the truth would come out before the day was over. My name is Noah Bennett. I live in a quiet neighborhood outside Milwaukee. I build custom cabinets and repair old houses. Work with my hands keeps my mind calm. I start early, grind coffee, check orders, and load the truck. Most days are steady. I fix. I drive. I listen to the radio. And I come home to Rachel. Rachel and I married 3 years ago. We met at a fundraiser at the community center. She spoke about patient care. I was there to donate a bookshelf. Her voice shook when she spoke about fear. Yet she did not step back from it. Later we talked by the loading dock and shared small stories about hard nights. I asked for her number. She said yes. 6 months later we stood in a courthouse with 2 friends and said vows that felt simple and true. She is a nurse at a clinic on the south side. People trust her. She listens. She keeps flowers on the kitchen table. Cancer took many things from her. It did not take that laugh. When her hair came back, slow and soft, she stood at the mirror and touched it with both hands. I watched her and felt grateful. I thought those dark days were gone for good. My daughter is Lily. She is 24. She works in graphic design and teaches kids art on Saturdays. She grew up fast after the divorce. She stayed close to me anyway. We make Sunday pancakes when we can. She teases my old music and my slow texts. I pretend to be offended. She knows I am not. When she told me she found the person she would marry, I believed her at once. The wedding brought our families under one roof. We rented a lake house near Port Washington. White chairs lined the yard. String lights hung across the porch. The caterer walked through with charts and questions. Lily checked place cards and smiled at every small win. Her fiancé, Aaron, hauled boxes and tested the speaker. Rachel put flowers in jars and hummed a tune. I fixed a loose step and oiled a hinge. It felt like a good omen. Everything in its place. Then there was Monica. She is my former wife. She lives near the lakefront and sells big houses with bigger views. She can be charming. She can also be sharp in ways that cut. Our history is long, and the pain belongs to another chapter. Here is what matters now. She wanted the front row to herself. She did not like that Rachel would sit beside me. She did not like that Lily hugs Rachel like family. Monica smiled when people looked. When they turned away, The smile fell. I tried to smooth things over. I told Monica that Lily chose the seating. I told her there was space for everyone. She said she understood. Her eyes said something else. 2 nights before the wedding, she called me. Her voice was careful. She said the day should be perfect. She said there should be no distractions. I agreed. Then she asked if Rachel felt strong enough for a long day. I heard the edge under the words. I changed the subject. I wish I had not. The night before the ceremony, we held a small dinner. Aaron's parents drove in from Ohio with a cooler of cookies. My brother came from Illinois and told old stories that made Rachel laugh. We practiced the walk down the aisle in the yard. The neighbor's dog watched us through the fence. Lily hugged everyone. She hugged Monica. She hugged Rachel even longer. She took my hand and said she was happy. I believed her. We split into rooms after 10. Rachel and I took the corner bedroom on the first floor. Monica chose the blue room upstairs. Aaron's parents had the main guest room. Lily stayed at a hotel with her bridesmaids. The house settled. The lake air moved through the screens. I checked the doors and turned the key. Rachel rubbed lotion on her hands and tied her scarf. I kissed her forehead and told her to sleep. She kissed me back and said tomorrow would be beautiful. I lay awake a while. I thought about the first time I held Lily. I thought about a client who cried when I fixed a broken cabinet that held her late father's tools. I thought about Rachel in the clinic, leaning close to a patient who was scared. Good lives are built from small, steady acts. I have believed that my whole life. I still believe it now. I did not hear the door. I did not hear footsteps. I did not hear the hiss of blades. Morning came. And with it, the shock that split our world. The rest of this story began before sunrise, in a quiet room near the lake, with the sound of someone I love waking to a loss she did not deserve. I did not start as a man who expected betrayal. When I met Monica, I believed I had found my partner for life. We were 26 with plans. She sold small houses. I hauled tools in a coughing truck. We split fries at a diner and counted tips like kids. She said we would build something people could walk into. I said yes and saw a future in every empty room. We married and rented a small house that smelled like rain. On Saturdays, we pulled up carpet and learned to refinish floors from a library manual. We made mistakes and laughed and kept going. It felt like a promise. Do the work. Be kind. Keep going. When Lily was born, I thought my chest would split with joy. Money was tight, but we were a team. I took extra jobs. On Sundays, we pushed the stroller past houses we could not afford, and said one day, the first cracks were quiet. Late dinners. Phones on silent. Monica said a new client needed calls at odd hours. I believed her. When she came home tired, I rubbed her shoulders and said she was doing great. I missed birthdays because I trusted the idea that this rush would pass. Then the changes came faster. New clothes. A perfume that smelled like a hotel lobby. A smile that did not reach me. She corrected me in front of friends with a tone that sounded like a joke but did not feel like one. She said I lived small. She said she could not breathe in small. I tried to make room. I repainted the kitchen the color she circled in a magazine. I stopped leaving boots in the hallway. I booked a weekend by the lake. She canceled for a last-minute buyer. The weekend was gone. So was the ease we used to wake with. One night, a text lit her screen while she was in the shower. It said, "I miss you already." It had a name I did not know. My stomach turned. I asked her when she came out. She laughed and called me insecure. She said it was a developer. She said I should grow up. I apologized even though I had done nothing wrong. Trust does not break all at once. It thins and then it snaps. The snap came in a parking lot behind a restaurant on a Thursday night. My truck was there because I had replaced a window. Her car was there because she said she was showing a condo next door. I saw them before they saw me. Her hand on his shoulder. his hand at her waist, their heads bent close in that private way two people have when the world stops at their skin. She looked up and saw me. For a second, her face went blank. Then came the smile that had once been mine. She asked why I was there. I said I was working. She said I was imagining things. I pointed to his hand. She said I was dramatic. He walked to his car and did not look back. That night, we sat at the kitchen table for hours. Sometimes we spoke. Sometimes we stared at the wood grain. She said she was lonely. She said I loved my tools more than I loved her. She said I did not dream big. I said I loved the way our life felt at the edges. Warm and ordinary and ours. She said ordinary was a slow death. I asked for counseling. She said she did not want to be fixed. We tried to patch it anyway. We made lists. We picked a date night. We pretended to forget the parking lot. She came to a job site twice and then stopped. One morning, Lily asked why Mom did not laugh at breakfast anymore. I told her adults get tired. She nodded and poured cereal for both of us. The day Monica moved out, she packed fast and clean. She left a note that used the word necessary. She kissed Lily and said this was not her fault. She did not kiss me. I stood on the porch and watched her drive away. I went inside and fixed a squeaky cabinet door because I did not know what else to do with my hands. Divorce court was fluorescent lights and numbers. A life becomes a file. Memory does not get a column. I signed where I had to. I hugged my daughter and promised to make her new life feel steady. At night, I lay on the living room floor and counted the boards overhead. After the papers were final, I saw Monica with the man from the parking lot. He touched her elbow in the produce aisle. I put milk in my cart and bread and eggs and walked to the register. Some grief hardens into a quiet that changes you. I stopped expecting grand gestures. I noticed who shows up with a shovel when it snows. Love can look like a warm meal and gas in the car and a steady hand on bad days. Years later, when I met Rachel, I was ready to love in that way. I was not ready to fight the old storm again. Yet storms circle back when you think the sky has cleared. The marriage ended, but the reach of it did not. Monica wanted holidays her way. She wanted the story to favor her. She wrapped it in a smile that made people trust her at first. When Rachel entered our lives, that smile grew tight. When Lily called Rachel kind, it went tighter. The old story pushed against the new one until something had to give. When I met Rachel, I was not looking for another chapter. I was building shelves in a community library. She walked in with a box of donated books and a tired smile. Her scarf was plain that day. A soft gray. She moved carefully, as if her body still remembered pain. We spoke about where the shelf should go. Then she told me she liked the smell of cut wood. That was the start. Small. Almost nothing. But it grew. She had finished her last round of chemo 6 months earlier. Her hands were still unsteady, yet her voice carried weight. She told stories of patients she helped before she got sick, of nurses who held her hand when she could not stop shaking. She spoke of nights when she whispered into the dark, promising herself that if morning came, she would not waste it. I listened. I knew that kind of vow. Life looks different when you know what can be taken away. We began with coffee at the corner diner. We sat by the window, steam on the glass. 2 mugs between us. She laughed when I spilled sugar. I liked that she laughed. We walked the river path in spring. She wore hats then, wide ones that shadowed her face. Sometimes she caught people staring. I saw her chin lift a little higher. That small defiance made me proud. By the time summer came, her hair began to return. Thin at first, soft as a child's. She brushed it like treasure. Every strand mattered. When she looked in the mirror, she no longer saw only sickness. She saw fight. She saw proof. I told her she was beautiful before. During, after, she told me to stop saying that. I told her I would not. We married in a courthouse. Simple and quiet. 2 witnesses signed the paper. I wore my work boots. She carried a single lily. Afterward, we ate sandwiches in the park. She leaned her head on my shoulder and said it was enough. It was more than enough. Building life with Rachel felt like repairing a house that had stood through a storm. Not shiny, not new, but strong. She cooked simple meals. Soups that smelled like home. She kept wildflowers in jars. She asked about my work and listened as if every hinge and handle mattered. At night, she placed her scarf on the chair and curled close. I slept deeper with her near me. Lily accepted her quickly, faster than I expected. She invited Rachel to art shows, asked for her opinion on designs, called her when I forgot birthdays. Rachel never tried to replace Monica. She simply cared. Lily noticed. She hugged Rachel longer each visit. She told me once, "She makes you softer, Dad." I think that was her blessing. Rachel gave me back laughter. She gave me calm mornings, evenings where silence felt safe, not heavy. She carried scars. Yes, but she carried them with grace. I wanted to protect her from more pain. I thought the worst was behind us. I believed we had outrun the storm. But storms have long memories. Monica saw Rachel at a school fundraiser. She smiled wide in public, asked questions about health, about hair, about stamina. Her words looked polite, her tone cut. Rachel answered with calm grace. But I saw the shadow in her eyes afterward. I told her not to let it in. She told me she was used to shadows. I hated that answer. Rachel kept living forward. She planted herbs by the window. She bought scarves in bright colors. She planned meals with Lily for the wedding. She told me this family was worth every fight. I believed her. I wanted to believe we were safe. I was wrong. The love we built was real. The peace we built was real. But Monica's bitterness was real too. When Rachel tucked her scarf that last night, she did not know someone upstairs had sharper plans. She did not know love was about to be tested again. And I, foolish enough to think we were done with cruelty, closed my eyes and slept. The day before the wedding began early. The lake was a sheet of silver. Gulls drifted in slow arcs over the water. I made coffee and set out plates. Rachel came in with a basket of roses and eucalyptus. She kissed my cheek and said it would be a good day. I believed her for a while. By 8, the house filled with people. Lily moved like a spark that lit every room. She checked rentals and confirmed delivery times. She held a notebook with tabs for everything. When she smiled, I saw the little girl who once painted the porch with water. Aaron followed close behind with boxes of candles. He asked where to put the coolers. He asked again just to be sure. I liked that about him. He wanted to get it right. Aaron's parents arrived with a tin of family cookies. His mother fussed over the tablecloth. His father carried folding chairs with a steady rhythm. My brother drove up with a trunk full of tools. He said every good party needs a man who can fix a chair and a hinge. We shook hands and got to work. Rachel turned the dining room into a flower shop. She hummed under her breath. She trimmed stems and set blooms into jars and low bowls. She had a way with simple things. The house changed as she worked. Softer, warmer. She wore a loose blue dress and small earrings that caught the light. When she leaned over the table, I saw the soft waves she had waited so long to have. I felt proud for no reason except love. Monica came late. She walked through the door like a breeze that does not cool the room. She wore white pants and a bright blouse and a smile for the crowd. She hugged Lily and called her darling. She told Aaron he looked handsome. Then she turned to Rachel and tilted her head. She said, "Nice scarf," as if the fabric were a surprise. Rachel nodded and went back to the flowers. The air shifted by a degree. The seating chart became a small battlefield. Lily wanted both families near the front. She wanted everyone to see. Monica wanted the aisle side for herself. She said the photographer needed a clean line. She said tradition should be honored. Rachel stepped back so I could answer. I told Monica that Lily had chosen. She pressed her lips together. She smiled again at Lily and said she would make do. The words were fine. The tone was not. We rehearsed in the yard at noon. The sun warmed the grass. I walked arm in arm with Lily, then let go and watched her walk alone. She looked like herself. Not a magazine bride. My own brave kid. Aaron's father clapped at the end and called for lunch. For a moment, the day felt light again. After sandwiches, we set up lights across the porch. My brother and I checked the posts and screwed in the bulbs. Aaron trimmed a low branch, so guests would not hit their heads. Rachel came out with a tray of lemonade. She set a glass down for Monica. Monica thanked her and asked if the day would be too long. She said long days can be hard when energy is low. Rachel smiled without showing teeth and said she would be fine. I saw the question land anyway. I stood close to Rachel until Monica drifted away. The caterer arrived for the walkthrough. She had charts of tables and a schedule for plates. She asked about power for the warmers. I showed her the outlet on the porch and the one by the kitchen door. She asked about parking. I pointed to the gravel lot. She nodded and checked a box. The practical steps steadied me. The rental house had a small office by the stairs. Inside was a tablet that controlled the lights and the door locks. The owner had shown us the system when we checked in. He said every room had a smart lock. He said there were motion lights outside and a camera on the front porch. He said guests sometimes forgot to lock the sliding door. He laughed when he said it. I tested the locks after he left. They worked with a soft click. I liked that sound. In the late afternoon, Rachel set aside one bouquet. She carried it to Lily's room and closed the door. I waited by the hall and let them have the moment. They came out 10 minutes later with red eyes and big smiles. Lily held a small comb with pearls. She said it was for Rachel to wear if she wanted to. Monica watched from the top of the stairs. Her smile did not change. Evening brought the rehearsal dinner. We laid out dishes and bottled drinks. Aaron's mother told a story about him as a boy with a paper crown. My brother told a story about me dropping a cabinet on my foot. People laughed in that easy way families do when there is hope in the room. Monica stood to toast Lily. She spoke well. She has always spoken well. She said love is a choice. She said family endures. She lifted her glass and looked at me for one slow beat. I held Rachel's hand under the table. After dinner, I fixed a loose hinge on the screen door. The sky turned violet. The water made a soft sound on the rocks. Lily checked her list one last time and let out a long breath. She hugged Rachel and whispered in her ear. She hugged me and tucked her head under my chin. Aaron took out trash with his father. The house moved toward quiet. We chose rooms. Aaron's parents took the suite at the end of the hall. Monica asked for the blue room upstairs with the best light. Rachel and I took the first floor corner room near the porch. The door had a code. I set it myself and tried it twice. The window had a latch that worked well. I checked the porch light and the sliding door. I walked back through the kitchen and turned the deadbolt on the side entrance. The small clicks sounded like promises. Monica came down with a stack of place cards and said she would finish them at the table. She asked for the key box in the office so she could make sure guests had codes in the morning. I hesitated. Lily said it was fine and handed the box to me. I passed it to Monica. She thanked me and set it beside her glass. She bent over the cards and wrote slowly in neat lines. Rachel showered and rubbed lotion on her hands. She set her scarf on the chair and brushed her hair with slow strokes. She told me to stop staring. I told her I was allowed. She smiled and put the scarf back on with care. She set an alarm for morning and checked it twice. I turned off the lamp. The house settled. A boat droned far out on the lake. A car passed on the road and faded. I lay there and listened to Rachel breathe. I was tired but not uneasy. I believed I had locked every door. I believed good people were under this roof. I believed the past could not reach us here. At 2 I woke and checked my phone. No messages. I walked to the kitchen for water. The hallway was quiet. The table was clean. The key box sat where Monica had left it. The porch was dark. I locked the door again out of habit and went back to bed. Rachel shifted and reached for me. I put my hand over hers. Sleep took me without a fight. The morning would bring what it brought. But that night, in that safe quiet, I had no idea that someone had already made a plan. I had no idea that love would soon meet the kind of malice that leaves a mark you can feel even when the hair grows back. The call came the next morning, hours before guests were due to arrive for setup. My phone buzzed on the counter while I brewed coffee. I wiped my hands and looked at the screen. Monica. I thought about letting it go to voicemail. But my finger pressed accept. Her voice slid through the line. Low and steady. Noah. This is our daughter's wedding. I expect it to be handled with respect. Then, it's not Nata. Handled? I asked. Everything is set Nuver. Lily's worked herself to the bone to make sure of it. Then, it's not Nata. She's worked. Yes. But you've let that woman of yours creep into spaces that don't belong to her. It's humiliating. Then, it's not Nata. I closed my eyes. Rachel belongs because Lily wants her there. That's the only measure that counts. I would love to matter signed. Monica gave a sharp laugh. Your little nurse, the one with her endless scarves? She looks fragile. Noah. Tired. People will whisper. Do you really want Lily's photos to carry that forever? The words hit like a shove. I gripped the counter to keep my tone even. Rachel is stronger than you ever were. She has fought battles you couldn't imagine. I would love to me. Silence for a beat. Then her voice came again. Softer but colder. Battles leave scars. Don't be surprised if people see them more than the victory. Weddings are about beauty. About pride. Not pity. Intervary. I felt heat rise in my chest. If you try to cause trouble tomorrow. Monica, she cut me off. Don't threaten me. I will not sit quietly while you parade your charity case in front of everyone. If she sits beside you at the ceremony, I'll make sure people remember it for the wrong reasons. Intervary. The line went dead. I stood with the phone pressed to my ear long after the silence settled. Rachel came in from the porch, with her hands full of lavender sprigs. She saw my face and set them down. What happened? I forced myself to soften. Nothing we can't handle. She's just being Monica. They will Dave, they will ready. One they will day. Aground. Within way. Rachel studied me. She could always tell when I was hiding something. She touched my arm. Don't let her words get in. They're poison. They will Dave, they will ready. One they will day. Aground. Within way. I know. I said. But inside. The poison was already working. That evening we gathered for one last meal before the ceremony. Everyone crowded into the kitchen with pots and trays. Laughter rose with the smell of garlic bread. For a moment I thought maybe Monica would fade into the background. Then she arrived. 10 minutes late. Silver bracelets jingling. Her perfume arriving a step ahead of her. Darling Lily, she cried, sweeping our daughter into a dramatic embrace. My beautiful bride. The seam dyer. Lily blushed. But her eyes flicked toward Rachel. I saw the tension there. When Monica spotted Rachel arranging flowers at the counter, she tilted her head. Well, don't you look practical tonight? He's den. Rachel smiled politely. Good evening. Monica. The table's nearly ready. He's den. Yes, Monica replied, picking up a knife to slice vegetables with unnecessary force. I hope you're feeling strong enough for tomorrow. Long days can be exhausting for people with happiest. My knife hit the cutting board too hard. Rachel is fine. There no think it's a Potter, of course, Monica said, her tone like honey laced with glass. I just worry. Stress shows on some people more than others. There no think it's a Potter. The room went quiet. Aaron's mother coughed into her napkin. Lily jumped in quickly, steering her mother toward the wine rack and sending me to help Aaron with music setup. But the damage was done. Monica had sown her venom. Later, when we divided rooms for the night, Monica carried her bag upstairs without a word. She paused halfway, glancing back at us. Her smile held something that made my skin crawl. Rachel brushed her hair at the small vanity before bed. She tied her scarf and turned off the lamp. She's planning something, I whispered. She always is, Rachel answered, settling under the covers. But tomorrow is Lily's day. That's what matters. Waited uncool getting. I wanted to believe her. But Monica's voice still echoed in my head, promising humiliation dressed as tradition, and I knew enough about her to know she would keep her promise. The house grew quiet after midnight. Doors closed. Lights dimmed. Even the lake outside settled into a slow rhythm against the rocks. Rachel breathed steady beside me, one hand resting near my arm. I stared at the ceiling, listening, waiting. I told myself I was only restless because fathers don't sleep well the night before giving away their daughters. But under that reason was the truth. I did not trust Monica. At 2, I walked the hall. I checked the porch door and the kitchen lock. Both clicked shut the way they should. The key box sat on the counter, neat, untouched. Upstairs, the floorboards creaked as if someone shifted in bed. I lingered at the foot of the stairs. No sound followed. I went back to my room. Rachel stirred when I returned. She whispered, "Is everything all right?" "Yes," I lied, brushing her hair with my hand. She closed her eyes again. I listened until her breathing steadied, then let myself drift. I don't know when the door opened. I don't know if it was minutes or hours later. What I know is the morning sunlight came too soon, golden through the curtains, warm on my face. I turned to Rachel, ready to wake her with a kiss. My fingers touched her scarf. The fabric felt looser than usual. I adjusted it gently and froze. Beneath the silk was no soft hair, just bare skin, uneven, stripped. My chest locked. I pulled the scarf back, and the sight ripped something inside me. 3 years of growth, gone. Every strand, cut close with cruel precision. "Rachel," I whispered. My throat broke on her name. Her eyes opened slowly. She smiled, half asleep, until she saw my face. "What is it?" she asked. I guided her hand to her head. Her fingers brushed stubble. She sat up with a gasp that turned into a scream. "No, no. Not again." She clutched her head, rocking as tears spilled down her cheeks. Her voice cracked like glass. "Why would anyone do this to me?" I pulled her into my arms. She shook so hard I thought she might break. "It's gone," she sobbed. "All of it. Why now? Why today?" I held her, rage pounding in my chest. My mind ran through the house, the locked doors, the silent halls, the key box. Whoever had done this had not forced their way in. They had walked in with confidence, with access. Rachel pulled back enough to look at me. Her eyes were wide, red with grief. "Don't make this bigger," she whispered. "It's Lily's wedding. She deserves happiness, realness." "Rachel," I said, but my voice came out raw. "This wasn't an accident. Someone meant to hurt you." Me. Us. Real us. She wrapped the scarf around her head with trembling hands. Please, she begged. Don't ruin the day. Real us. But I couldn't think about centerpieces or music or vows. All I could see was my wife's broken reflection in the mirror. The symbol of her survival stolen in the night. And I knew, without doubt, whose hand had held the scissors. Rachel sat at the edge of the bed and tied her scarf again with shaking hands. I wiped her face with a cool cloth and tried to keep my voice steady. I told her I would handle it. She asked me not to. She said this day was for Lily. She said pain could wait. I nodded because I would have promised her anything in that moment. But I was already taking inventory in my head. I checked the window. The latch was still set. The screen was tight. The sill held a fine dust of lake sand. No marks. I checked the door. No damage. The deadbolt slid smooth. I opened the nightstand. My small scissors were gone. I never moved them. I keep a few tools in reach because habits comfort me. The empty place where the scissors should have been felt like a finger pressed into a bruise. On the vanity I found tiny flecks of dark hair near the comb. Most of it had been wiped away. But not all. Someone had worked in a hurry. Someone had cleaned. Rachel stared at the mirror. At her eyes. Not the scarf. She whispered that she could smile if she had to. She whispered that she would not let Lily see the loss first. She asked for 5 minutes alone. I kissed her forehead and stepped into the hall. The house was waking. A kettle clicked in the kitchen. A floorboard thudded overhead. I forced my breath slow and walked toward the office by the stairs. The tablet glowed on the desk. I opened the lock app and scrolled the history. There it was. Guest room 1. Unlock at 2:43 a.m. Lock at 2:58 a.m. The entry was marked with a note I had not seen before. Master code used. My throat tightened. I checked the other rooms. No activity. Front door had been locked all night. Side door showed my water run at 2. Nothing else. I took a photo of the log with my phone. My hand shook and the image blurred. I took another and another until the lines were clear. Aaron's father stepped into the office doorway and blinked at the light. He had a mug in his hand. He asked if everything was all right. I said that I was checking a squeaky hinge on our door. He nodded and told me he had heard the kitchen drawers in the night. He is a light sleeper. He had figured it was me scrounging for a snack. I told him thanks. He went to the porch and let the screen fall gently shut. I walked to the kitchen and opened the trash pullout. New bag. The tie tops were crisp. Someone had changed the bag before dawn. I opened the bin outside. It was heavy. Inside was a white liner tied tight. When I shifted it, a few dark strands clung to the plastic. They were not long. They were not enough to prove anything. But they were there. I tied the bin again and stood with my hands on the rim until my breathing slowed. Footsteps sounded on the stairs. Monica entered in a pale robe with a water glass. She smiled like a Showtime curtain. She told me good morning. She said she had been up late thinking of her toast. She asked me if the coffee was strong. I watched her set the glass down and tuck a strand of her own hair behind her ear. A single short dark hair rested on her wrist where a bracelet sat. She brushed it off and looked past me at the lake. It could have been coincidence. It felt like a message. Rachel came into the kitchen a minute later. Her scarf was firm. Her shoulders were straight. The only sign of the night was the way she held her jaw. Lily followed with a makeup bag and a smile that trembled when she saw Rachel's eyes. She asked if everything was okay. Rachel told her she had a small headache and needed a slower morning. Lily nodded, then looked at me. She has always read me fast. I asked Lily to come to the hallway. I chose the quiet corner by the office. I told her something had happened and that Rachel needed space. She asked what? I tried to say it gently. The words failed. I said it plain. For a moment she did not move. Then she reached for the wall like the air had tilted. She said she would call the whole thing off. I said no. I said Rachel wanted her day to stand. Lily's eyes filled. She asked if her stepmother was truly all right, or if she was pretending for her sake. I said both were true at once. Rachel walked toward us, heard the end, and pulled Lily into her arms. She told her to marry the man she loves. She told her the pictures would be perfect, because they would show a family that stays. Lily cried without sound for a long minute. Then she nodded. She said she would not let hate write this day. She went to dress. Rachel leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. I held her hand until her fingers stopped shaking. I called Aaron into the office and showed him the lock history. His face hardened. He asked who had the master code. I said no one should. The key box is controlled by the owner's app. But last night Monica had asked for the box to confirm codes. She had touched it more than once. Aaron asked if we would confront her now. I said not yet. He said he would back me when I did. I checked the bathroom again and found the scissors under the sink behind the extra towels. They were ours. The edge was clean, but a few fragments clung near the pivot. I put them in a zipper bag. I wiped the counter and closed the cabinet. I stared at my face in the mirror and saw a man I had not met in years. The man who came out after the parking lot. The man who does not blink when someone crosses a line. At breakfast, Monica praised the muffins and asked Rachel twice if she had slept well. Rachel thanked her and poured juice with steady hands. Aaron's mother offered aspirin. Aaron set out plates. The room pretended to be normal and almost pulled it off. Then Lily touched Rachel's scarf and kissed her cheek in front of everyone. The pretense cracked for a second, and I saw the truth in 3 faces. Sorrow, anger, fear. I went back to the office and wrote down the times from the log. I added what I knew about the trash. I added what Aaron's father heard. I put the zipper bag in the top drawer and closed it carefully. I did not know yet how this would be proven in a way that would stand. But I knew this. I would not let it pass into rumor. I would put the truth in the center of the room and let people decide who they were. Rachel called from the hallway that the hairstylist for the bridesmaids had arrived. Life kept moving, which felt both cruel and right. I took one more photo of the lock history. I put my phone in my pocket and walked back into the light of the kitchen. I took Rachel's hand. She squeezed once. Hard. We had made a choice. We would give Lily her wedding, and I would find the truth before the sun went down. By mid-morning, the house buzzed with the weight of the day. Garment bags rustled upstairs. Curling irons hissed. Shoes tapped across the wood floor. The air smelled of hairspray and brewed coffee. On the surface, everything looked like a wedding morning should. Underneath, every breath felt like tinder near a flame. Rachel stayed close to me, her scarf wrapped neatly, her smile steady but thin. She poured juice for the bridesmaids and asked about makeup. Her voice sounded calm, but I knew she was holding herself together thread by thread. Monica floated in and out of rooms, complimenting dresses, adjusting place cards, pressing herself into every scene like she was the director of a play. When her eyes landed on Rachel, they lingered half a second too long. I waited until the kitchen cleared. Then I stepped in. Monica was at the counter, slicing fruit with perfect precision. Her robe was replaced with a pale blue dress. Her hair was styled, her lipstick flawless. She looked ready for photos. She looked nothing like guilt. "You did this," I said quietly. My voice carried across the tile. Her hand paused mid-slice, then continued. "I beg your pardon? You cut Rachel's hair while she slept. You used the master code to get in our room. You stole the scissors from my drawer. Don't act surprised. Think." She set the knife down slowly and turned toward me. Her face held practiced shock. Eyes wide, lips parted. Noah, you can't be serious. Do you hear yourself? Rachel appeared in the doorway, her scarf firm against her head, her eyes pleading with me not to start. But I had already started. Someone came in at 2:43. The logs show it. The scissors were hidden under towels. The trash was changed before dawn. I stepped closer. You were the only one awake. Thanks for watching. Monica's voice sharpened. This is absurd. Maybe your fragile wife did it herself. Maybe she wanted attention. People do strange things under stress. She won. Rachel gasped. But I spoke first. Don't you dare. Don't you turn this cruelty into her shame. She won. Footsteps thundered on the stairs. Lily appeared in her robe, her face pale. What's happening? She demanded. Behind her, Aaron came. Then his parents. Soon the kitchen brimmed with family. All eyes moving between us. I said it plainly. Someone shaved Rachel's head while she slept. I believe it was Monica. She won. The room froze. Lily's eyes widened with horror. She rushed to Rachel, touching her scarf, whispering, "Is this true?" Rachel nodded once, her chin trembling. Lily turned to her mother, tears rising. "How could you?" Monica's voice rose, smooth, turning shrill. "You think I would sabotage my own daughter's wedding? That's ridiculous. He's inventing stories to protect his sick wife." And any flies. Aaron's father stepped forward. The security logs don't invent themselves. The master code was used. Only one person asked for that box last night. His words hung heavy. Monica crossed her arms. "So you all want to paint me as a villain? Fine. Believe what you want." "Well," Rachel caught my arm, whispering, "Please stop. This is what she wants to ruin today." "Well," but the damage was done. Lily stood in the center of the kitchen, tears streaking down her face. Her wedding morning cracked open. She looked at her mother with a mix of anger and grief. "If you did this, you don't just hurt Rachel. You hurt me. That you find." For the first time, Monica's mask slipped. Her eyes flickered. And for a second I saw something raw beneath the performance envy. Bitterness. A hunger to control. She opened her mouth. But no excuse came. The silence said more than words ever could. I stepped back, my jaw tight. This isn't over. But today will be Lily's day. Not yours. That you find. The kitchen held its breath. Outside, the sound of car doors and laughter from arriving guests floated in. Oblivious to the fracture inside, I wanted to end it in the kitchen. But the room was already cracking. Lily wiped her face and told everyone to give us space. People scattered in small clusters down the hall. Rachel stood beside the sink with her hands on the counter. She was steady again. But I saw the tremor in her jaw. Monica fixed her hair in the reflection of the microwave and told Lily that stress does strange things to people. The words slid around the room like oil. Aaron touched my shoulder and nodded toward the office. We went in and shut the door. He powered up the tablet and opened the lock history. The same line stared back at us. Guest room 1. Unlock at 2. Sushisan. Lock at 2. Ushaba. Master code used. He said we needed more than a log. We needed a picture. I called the number the owner had left on a card by the desk. He answered on the second ring. I told him there had been a serious incident. I asked if the porch camera saved footage to the cloud. He said yes. 30 days. He asked for the reservation code and the address. I gave both. He said he would grant temporary access on the tablet. A notification blinked. The camera app lit up. We pulled the timeline back to 2 a.m. Dark yard. Porch light off. A raccoon crossed the frame and vanished. At 2:41 the motion sensor triggered. The porch light bloomed. A figure came down the stairs with careful steps, moved through the frame, opened the outside bin, and tied a trash bag. The figure turned back toward the house, and the light caught a face. It was Monica. Her hair was pinned up. She wore the pale robe with the thin belt. She carried scissors in one hand and a wadded towel in the other. She dropped the towel into the bin, closed the lid, and walked inside. At 3, 0, 1, the light shut itself off. The camera view went still. Aaron exhaled through his teeth. I felt something cold drop out of my chest. Then a steadier heat take its place. We watched it twice more to be sure. There was no doubt. It was clean. It was simple. It was the truth. We called Lily and Rachel in first. Lily stood between us and stared at the screen. The first time, her hands rose to her mouth. The second time, her shoulders squared. Rachel gripped the back of the desk chair and did not make a sound. Her eyes were wet but still. She said thank you to the owner when I put him back on speaker. He said he was sorry, that he would keep the files safe, that he had a copy saved to the cloud and another to a secure drive. He said if we needed anything else. He was on call. We asked Aaron's parents to join us. We asked my brother. We shut the door each time, showed the video, and waited. No one spoke while it played. Everyone looked older when it ended. Pain ages a face, even when the body stands tall. Then we called Monica. She walked in with her chin high. She had redone her lipstick. She asked if we were ready to apologize for the scene in the kitchen. I pressed play. She watched herself on a screen the size of a small window. At first, she kept the smile. Then the light hit her face in the recording, and the smile slipped. When the bag dropped into the bin, she cleared her throat. When the light went out, she lifted her chin. She said it proved nothing. She said she often takes trash out at night. She said a towel and a pair of scissors do not make a crime. I rewound to the part where the light caught the scissors. I paused it and zoomed as far as the tablet allowed. You could not miss the steal. I said the scissors were in a zipper bag in the desk drawer. I said the master code line in the log matched the timestamp on the camera. She laughed. It was a small sound with no air behind it. She said a log could be wrong. She said a glitch could happen. She said I was trying to smear the mother of the bride because my wife could not handle attention. She spread her hands, palms up, as if a jury sat in front of her. Lily stepped forward. Her voice was quiet. Mom, you took out a bag in the night. You had scissors. You had the code. Rachel woke up shorn. Stop. Monica's head turned toward her, sharp and fast. She started to speak. Lily lifted her hand. Not another word. You will not ruin today. You will not stand in my kitchen and lie when I am about to promise my life to someone I love. For once in your life, be still. The words landed like nails. Monica's mouth opened. Nothing came out. She looked at me. She looked at Rachel. She looked at the screen one more time. For a second, the shine left her eyes, and I saw the empty place beneath it. Envy. Yes, but also fear. A person who needs attention cannot survive when the room looks away. Aaron said we had a choice to make. He said we could call the police now and risk the morning becoming a report and a waiting game. Or we could lock this room, save the files, and keep the ceremony clean. I asked Rachel. She put her hand on Lily's shoulder and said the day was for vows and joy. The rest could wait 4 hours. Her voice did not shake on the word joy. That was its own kind of strength. I turned to Monica. I told her she would not walk with the family. I told her she would not speak during the ceremony. I told her that if she approached Rachel at any time before the reception ended, she would be asked to leave. And the police would be called to handle the matter of assault. I called it what it was. Assault. She laughed again. But the sound was thinner. She said I could not keep a mother from her child on a day like this. Lily spoke before I could. You kept yourself from me when you chose to hurt my family. You will sit in the third row on the far aisle. You will smile for photos when the photographer points at your side of the yard. You will not come near Rachel. You will not touch her. If you cannot do that, you are gone. Do you understand me? Monica stared at her. The clock on the wall ticked. Outside, a car door slammed and a voice called, "Greetings." The world kept happening. Finally, Monica nodded once. She did not apologize. She did not bow her head. She just nodded like a person who had run out of moves. We cleared the office. I asked the owner to keep the portal open. I saved the file to a drive I brought from my truck and slid it into my pocket. I took photos of the screen with my phone from 3 angles. I sent copies to Aaron's phone and to my brother's. I printed a still frame on the little wireless printer the caterer used for labels. I put the page in the zipper bag with the scissors. It felt like building a small fence around the truth. When we stepped back into the hallway, the noise of a wedding morning came rushing in. Laughter in the upstairs bathroom. Someone testing a microphone. The florist calling to check delivery. Life does not stop when a heart breaks. It moves around the break and sets the table anyway. Rachel touched her scarf and lifted her chin. She asked Lily where she wanted first look photos. Lily said by the maple tree. Rachel said she would be there in 10 minutes. She turned to me and took my hand. She said we were going to give our daughter a beautiful day. I told her we would. Monica passed us on her way to the yard. She did not look at Rachel. She kept her eyes on the lake. She walked like a person who had decided to survive the hour and see what the next one brought. I let her go. The time for speeches would come. But not yet. We had proof now. Proof that did not blink and did not bend. It sat on our phones and on a drive in my pocket and in the cloud above the roof. It would be there when the music stopped and the lights dimmed. It would be there when this family stood in a room with nowhere else to look but at the truth. The garden filled with chairs dressed in white covers and ribbons that swayed in the breeze. Guests began to arrive, their voices bright, unaware of the fracture pulsing beneath the surface. Rachel stood beside me in her navy dress, her scarf fixed with a pearl pin Lily had given her that morning. She held herself with quiet dignity. From a distance, no one would have known what she had endured only hours earlier. Monica entered late, as always, timing her steps so the attention bent her way. She wore a cream suit and carried herself like she was walking into a theater. She greeted relatives with practiced warmth, kissed cheeks, shook hands. But her eyes flicked toward us, sharp and unyielding. She took her seat in the third row, exactly where Lily had told her. She smiled wide for the photographer, as if nothing had happened. The ceremony began. Lily walked down the aisle on my arm, her face luminous beneath the veil. For a few minutes I forgot everything else. I saw only my daughter, the little girl who once painted the driveway with chalk hearts, now promising forever to a man who adored her. I gave her hand to Aaron and stepped back. My chest ached with pride. The vows were exchanged. Rings slid onto fingers. Applause rose when they kissed. The air swelled with joy. And I clapped with everyone else. I looked at Rachel. She had tears in her eyes. But she smiled. Even in pain, she gave love freely. That was who she was. At the reception, tables glowed with candles and flowers. Rachel had arranged the night before. The band played soft jazz while guests settled into their meals. Laughter and chatter bounced off the ballroom walls. For a while, it looked like a celebration untouched by cruelty, but I knew the truth waited in my pocket. A flash drive heavy as stone. When dessert plates were cleared, the coordinator tapped the microphone. Now we'll hear from the father of the bride. It's Sisha. I stood. The room hushed. 80 faces turned toward me. I began with what was expected words of pride, of joy, of blessing. I spoke of Lily's strength, her creativity, her loyalty. I praised Aaron for his steady heart and the way he looked at my daughter like she was the only person in the world. Guests smiled, nodded, lifted glasses. Then my voice hardened. Marriage is built on trust, on protecting the people you love. Some of you know my wife Rachel is a survivor. Years ago, cancer took her hair, her strength, nearly her life. She fought, and she won. When her hair grew back, it was more than beauty. It was proof of her victory. Vischer, a ripple moved across the tables. People leaned closer. Rachel's eyes widened, but she did not stop me. This morning, someone entered our room while she slept and cut away every strand she fought to regrow. It was no accident. It was deliberate cruelty. There wasn't the pod of the post way. Gasps erupted. Guests glanced at one another in disbelief. Rachel bowed her head. I pressed on. We know who did it. The cameras in the house recorded everything. And it was not a stranger. It was someone sitting in this room. Monica Bennett, mother of the bride. There wasn't the pod of the pust. The ballroom froze. All eyes turned to the third row. Monica shot to her feet, her face crimson. "That's a lie," she cried, her voice trembling. "He's trying to humiliate me, to turn my daughter against me." But Lily rose too, her wedding gown catching the candlelight. Her voice cut through the noise. "Mom, stop. We saw the video. All of us. You can't deny it anymore. He suited won the Texas." The silence after her words was heavier than thunder. Monica's eyes darted across the room, searching for allies. Finding none. Murmurs spread shock, anger, disbelief. Guests recoiled from her table. Aaron's parents shook their heads. My brother crossed his arms and stared. Rachel gripped my hand under the table. Her fingers were cold but strong. I held on and finished what had to be said. Cruelty doesn't disappear if we stay silent. Today is about love, about building a family on trust and respect. Let everyone here remember that no matter what poison is poured, love endures. 1. The room erupted in applause, not polite clapping, but a rising wave of support that left Monica isolated. She stood frozen, eyes wet, lips trembling, then turned and fled the ballroom. Rachel leaned against me, her body trembling. Lily crossed the room in her gown and hugged her stepmother. "Thank you for standing up," she whispered. Guests gathered, offering comfort, words of kindness, touches on Rachel's shoulder. The truth had been spoken, and the lie had no place left to hide. When the ballroom doors closed behind Monica, the noise of her heels faded into nothing. For the first time since dawn, I felt the air in my chest move freely. Around us, the celebration swelled again. Not perfectly, not without shadows, but with a kind of relief that truth had finally been named. Rachel sat tall beside me, her scarf still secure, her eyes bright with tears that were not only sorrow. Guests touched her shoulder, offered words of respect, told her she was beautiful, told her she was strong. She thanked each one, her voice steady. I could see pride in Lily's eyes as she watched her stepmother face the room with dignity. The band struck a softer tune. The newlyweds took the floor for their first dance. Aaron whispered into Lily's ear, and she laughed through tears. I saw her grip his hand like it was the anchor that would carry her past this storm. Guests clapped along, cameras flashed. Life pressed forward, as it always does, even when pieces of the day are cracked. Later, when speeches ended and music grew louder, I stepped outside for air. The night was cool, the lake restless under the moon. Rachel joined me, wrapping her arm through mine. She asked if I regretted saying her name, Monica's name, out loud. I told her no. Silence is a weight that rots from the inside. Speaking truth is painful, but it frees the heart. Rachel leaned her head on my shoulder. I never wanted the day to be about me. She whispered. It isn't, I said. It's about Lily. And it's about us refusing to let cruelty win. And 9. Lily found us there a few minutes later. Her gown was dusty at the hem, her cheeks still flushed. She hugged Rachel first, then me. You gave me the gift I didn't know I needed, she said. You showed everyone who you are, and who I want to be. And 9. As the night wound down, Monica did not return. No one mentioned her absence. People danced, ate cake, and lifted Lily and Aaron on their shoulders to cheers. The joy was real, maybe sharper for having survived the cut of cruelty. When the last song played, Rachel and I stood together near the door, watching our daughter wave goodbye with her new husband. My hand held Rachel's, and I felt the pulse of her strength. The hair would grow again. But what mattered most had already taken root. Resilience, love, and the proof that malice cannot erase either. In the days that followed, Monica sent messages, some angry, some pleading, some defensive. We saved them but did not answer. The video lived in the cloud, in the drive in my desk, in the phones of people who had seen it. The truth was safe. Rachel cut her hair short again, on her own terms. She told me she would not let a pair of scissors in the night define her image. She laughed when the mirror showed her reflection. Brave and sharp, no longer stolen. I look back now and understand this. Families are not measured by perfection. They are measured by who stands when the ground splits. On that day, at that wedding, we stood together. Rachel beside me, Lily before us, Aaron at her side. Proof that hate may wound, but love repairs. If you ask me what remains after fire burns through a house, I will tell you this. The frame, the foundation, the bones. If you ask me what remains after betrayal cuts deep, I will tell you the same. And on those bones, we built something stronger.